Good morning again, everybody. Could everybody please take your seats? We're going to begin in 60 seconds. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. As you're all taking your seats, so my name is Matthew Getzky. I'm the Acting Chief Administrative Officer for the region of Waterloo, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this year's State of the Region address. So first, I'll acknowledge all the members of Regional Council who are with us here today: Councillor Hunink, Councillor Williams, Councillor Craig, Councillor Verbanovic, Councillor Erb, Councillor Harris, Councillor Foxton, I think we have quorum now, Councillor James, Councillor Liggett, Councillor McCabe, Councillor Nowak, Councillor Salonen, Councillor Shantz, and Councillor Wolf. I'll also like to acknowledge those who sent their regrets, and I can't acknowledge all of you, lots of familiar and friendly faces in the audience, but if I've missed anyone in particular, you can raise your hand, and I'm happy to acknowledge you as well. So this is a very exciting day for us today, and we're doing this in person, but also online. So this is where the comms team is really good, because I'm really bad at social media, so I'm going to say, for those joining us via Instagram Live, welcome. Your virtual presence is appreciated, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to connect with you in the digital space. So it's a great way to start a Tuesday morning with all your familiar faces, and so nice to see all of you gathered with us here today. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to thank all of the staff at the region of Waterloo. Every day you work tirelessly to deliver services and programs to residents that call Waterloo Region their home. You make sure our drinking water is clean, and ensure that our roads are safe, our traffic signals are working smoothly. You make critical upgrades to our infrastructure, run programs and clinics for families, young children, seniors, transit operators, make sure that residents get to their appointments, work, and school on time, and paramedics provide critical care to those who need it most, and many other services. Since I've been in the acting CAO role since December, I discover new services every day and things that really matter to the community. So your work touches the lives of residents multiple times every day, and you do so with care and with enthusiasm, and for that, I thank you very much. So the theme today is 1 million ready. We're gathering under this theme, reflecting our commitment to prepare the region to serve 1 million residents in the coming years. As we anticipate this significant growth, so we've seen, I'm a data person, but I think a few weeks ago, it was acknowledged that the region of Waterloo was the fastest growing metropolitan urban region in all of Canada. And so this is significant growth. And the approach that we've taken is to go with it with care, ensuring that our plans and initiatives are thoughtfully designed to support the community's needs. This means addressing key questions outlined in the strategic plan: housing for all, climate-aligned growth, equitable services and opportunities, and building a resilient and future-ready organization. Thanks to the dedication and collaboration of all of the community and all the partners that are here today and some who couldn't be here this morning, I'm very proud of the progress that we make every day towards these goals. So before we move to the main event, I'd like to welcome Paula Whitlow, our Director of Truth and Reconciliation at the region, who will join me on stage to deliver the Thanksgiving address.
Sago Skogago. We've got a treat today. We've got some video to follow along with what I'm saying. So many thanks to Corporate Comms for putting such a awesome video for you to follow along with. So with the Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving address, today we have gathered and sorry, I need my glasses. Today we have gathered and we see the cycles of life continue. We have been given the duty to live in balance and harmony with each other and all living things. So now we bring our minds together as one as we give greetings and thanks to each other as people. We are all thankful to our Mother, the Earth, for she gives us all that we need for life. She supports our feet as we walk upon her. It gives us joy that she continues to care for us as she has from the beginning of time. To our Mother, the Earth, we send greetings and thanks. We give thanks to all the waters of the world for quenching our thirst and providing us with strength. Water is life. We know its power in many forms, from waterfalls and rain to mists and streams, rivers and oceans. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to the Spirit of water. We turn our minds to all the fish life in this water. They were instructed to cleanse and purify it. They also give themselves to us as food. We are grateful that we can still find pure water. So we turn now to the fish and send our greetings and thanks. Now we turn towards the vast fields of plant life as far as the eye can see. The plants grow and work many wonders. They sustain many life forms. With our minds gathered together, we give thanks and look forward to seeing plant life continue for many generations to come. With one mind, we turn and honor all the food plants we harvest from the garden. Since the beginning of time, the grains, vegetables, beans, and berries have helped people to survive. Many other living things draw strength from them too. We gather all the food plants together as one and send them a greetings of thanks. Now let's turn to all the medicine herbs of the world. From the beginning of time, they were instructed to take away sickness. They were always waiting and ready to heal us. We are happy that there are still a few special amongst us who remember how to use these plants for healing. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to the medicines and to the keepers of those medicines. We gather our minds together to send greetings and thanks to all the animal life in the world. They have many things to teach us as people. We are honored by them when they give up their lives so we may use their bodies as food. We see them near our homes and in the deep forest. We are glad that they are still here, and we hope that it will always be so. Now let's turn our thoughts to the trees. The earth has many families of trees who have their own instructions and uses. Some provide us with shelter and shade, others with fruit, beauty, and other useful things. Many people of the world use a tree as a symbol of peace and strength. With one mind, we greet and thank the tree life. We put our minds together as one and thank all the birds who move and fly above over our heads. The Creator gave them beautiful songs. Each day they remind us to enjoy and appreciate life. The eagle was chosen to be the leader. To all the birds, from the smallest to the largest, we send our joyful greetings and thanks. We are all thankful to the powers we know as the four winds. We hear their voices in the moving air as they refresh us and purify the air we breathe. They help us to bring in the change of seasons. From the four directions they come, bringing us messages and giving us strength. With one mind, we send our greetings and thanks to those four winds. Now let's turn to the west, where our grandfather, the thunder beings, live. With lightning and thundering voices, they bring with them the water that renews life. We are thankful that they keep those evil things that are housed underground. We bring our minds together as one to send greetings and thanks to our grandfather, the Thunders. Now we turn and send greetings and thanks to our eldest brother, the Sun. Each day without fail, he travels the sky from east to west, bringing in the light of a new day. He is the source of all the fires of life. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to our brother, the Sun. We put our minds together as one to give greetings and thanks to our oldest grandmother, the Moon. She lights the nighttime sky. She is the leader of women all over the world, and she governs the movements of the ocean tides. By her changing face, we measure time, and it is the moon who watches over the arrival of children here on earth. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to our grandmother, the Moon. We give thanks to the stars who are spread across the sky like jewelry. We see them in the night, helping the moon to light the darkness and bringing dew to the gardens that grow things. When we travel at night, they guide us home. With our minds gathered together as one, we send greetings and thanks to the stars. We gather our minds to greet and thank the enlightened teachers who have come to help us throughout the ages. When we forget how to live in harmony, they remind us of the way we were instructed to live as people. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to all these caring teachers. Now let's turn our thoughts to the Creator or Great Spirit or whomever you see as your higher power. We send greetings and thanks for all the gifts of creation. Everything we need to live a good life is here on Mother Earth. For all the love that is still around us, we gather our minds together as one and send our choicest words of greetings and thanks to the Creator. Closing words. We have now arrived at the place where we end our words. Of all the things that I have named, it was not my intention to leave anything out. If something was forgotten, we leave it to each individual to send such greetings and thanks in their own special way. And now our minds are one.
Well, thank you very much, Paula, for this address. I think it always, I know you've shared this address many times to us at Council, and it always puts us in a very different mindset to be able to really think about what we're trying to achieve here together on this planet and in this community. So thank you for these words. It's an important reminder also of our connection to the land, and it reminds us of our responsibility to ensure its stewardship for generations to come. So now we'll move to the next part of our program, and it's my sincere pleasure to introduce our regional chair, Karen Medrin. If you can join me in inviting Chair Redman to join me on stage. Thank you.
So I want to start out by saying thank you to Matthew and thank you to Paula for a wonderful Thanksgiving address. You allowed us to start today in a good way, and I appreciate it. And I think no matter how many times I hear you make that Thanksgiving address, I always have another takeaway. So thank you for setting the table for us. What a wonderful way to start a Tuesday morning, being here with all of you. I see many familiar faces in the audience, folks who I consider partners in the work to make Waterloo Region a better place. Thank you, friends, for being here and for the personal commitment you've all made to community building. Now, I don't know if your family's like our family, but we have several self-described bird nerds in our family. So whether it's a finch at the backyard bird feeder or turkeys patrolling the urban area, we all get excited. But these pale in comparison to walking the trails in Waterloo Region on a weekend and sighting an eagle. Recently, I was reflecting on the time when we spotted an eagle at Huron Natural Area, and I felt lifted up as I watched it fly. These majestic birds have soared above our community for generations, embodying strength and vision. The indigenous peoples of this land teach us that the eagle represents leadership, looking far ahead with keen eyes to spot both threats and opportunities. As we reflect on the state of the region today, let's embrace the eagle's perspective and consider what lies on our horizon. We stand on the cusp of significant growth and change, with our community poised to become home to 1 million people before we know it. This journey excites me because we have an opportunity to shape the change that lies ahead. Together, we can create a future that benefits everyone. Does 2050 seem distant to you? I don't blame you if you feel that way. But it's worth noting that 2050 is now closer in time than the 1990s. Over the span of the last 5 decades, we have witnessed a remarkable transformation, from communicating via phones that were mounted on the wall to carrying an entire universe of information in our pockets. The pace of change in our world is accelerating, and our community is evolving in tandem. While change can appear intimidating, it also presents an opportunity for profound transformation. Let me take you back to a June morning almost 5 years ago now. In 2019, under a bright sun at the Fairway Station, we cut a long blue ribbon to launch Ion Light Rail. This was a decision where leaders looked 10, 20, even 30 years into the future. We had the foresight to understand what light rail could do for our entire region. Today, that vision has led to transformative change for residents and businesses alike. The first phase of the Ion has resulted in nearly $5 billion in development along the line. So what does it mean for the people of Waterloo Region? It means easier commutes, more accessible services, more housing options, and a stronger sense of community. With easier commutes, parents can drop their children off at daycare without worrying about being late for work, and allowing them to start their day with peace of mind. You know, on the morning we launched the Ion, many people remarked that something felt different. We felt like we had come of age, showcasing innovation, collaboration, and forward thinking. We need this to propel us into the future. It's what we can achieve when multiple levels of government invest in our community together. Ion is a symbol of how big thinking and collaboration can profoundly impact our lives. There is no doubt our community has diverse needs. And I hear from people across the region of Waterloo at community events, coffee hour at church, and even standing in line at the grocery store. I love being out in the community, meeting people and hearing what's important to them. There is great love for this place they call home. I often hear and agree that we have an urgent need for affordable housing, as well as the need to create the conditions for economic growth and further opportunities for all. And we must continue to make investments in reliable services that people can depend on. As your regional chair, I am keenly aware that these priorities require attention. Like the eagle, our job is to keep one eye on today and another on what's on the horizon. Here in the region of Waterloo, we do not wait for the future to come to us. We chase it, we grasp it. Today we are building a home that is future ready, 1 million ready. I would like to share a short video that showcases Waterloo Region in all of its glory and highlights our vibrant community. So I'd ask you to look at the monitor.
Rise and shine, Waterloo Region. Whether you're grabbing a coffee from Baden, Monogram, or Stockyards, we're so glad you found us here at WRXI 98.7. YKF flights and GRT are on schedule this morning. Traffic is moving well. Just one trouble spot reported, a turtle crossing Roseville Road. In the news, we added a record 28,000 people last year. That's almost the size of Stratford. Incredible when you think about it. Imagine, one day soon, we get to say, rise and shine to 1 million people, and 1 million smiles smile back. Hard to believe, yet it's not. Change is constant, isn't it? It's a good thing. I mean, there are fixtures here. We continue to evolve. We breathe the same air, share the same space. We were built on the assembly line and entrepreneurship, creating, dreaming, thriving together. Young minds seeking knowledge, opportunity, and roots here. The Silicon Valley of Canada, they say, with winding rivers and wildlife in the city, paths that connect us within towns and fields. We are the example others look to. We are home. So what brought you here? We'll open up the phone lines and take some calls after this tune.
Leaves are falling down like rain. In the morning I just stand alone outside and I watch them blow away. It's so hard to find a friend these days. Oh, babe, I'm sinking. I'm in a rolling wave.
We're back and the phone lines are open. Thanks for calling WRXI. You're on the air. What brought you here?
So my question to you is, so what brought you here? Each of you could give a different answer. For me, first and foremost, it's the people. It's the unique blend of urban and rural, the celebration of diverse cultures, and the way we care for one another. I don't know too many places where you can hop on your bike in the middle of the city and then find yourself in a scenic trail in the country 10 minutes later. And I don't know where else you can find a place that so enthusiastically celebrates Oktoberfest and Diwali. Our task as leaders is to keep us united and harness the incredible work happening across the region to shape a future where all of us can thrive. 1 year ago, we listened to thousands of residents who shared their thoughts, passion, and ideas. We heard what matters most and what we want to leave for the next generation. The result was the region's new strategic plan, Growing with Care. This plan was built with your help. It is a blueprint for our future. It does feature an eagle on the cover, reminding us to look ahead to the horizon and balance the present with what is to come. We're preparing in every corner of Waterloo Region for good growth. We invested in our regional airport because of its potential, and now it is the fastest growing airport in the country with new services from Air Canada. Waterloo Region is home to a thriving aerospace sector. And I'm thrilled today to announce more great news for the region of Waterloo International Airport. We are moving ahead with a new partnership. Pivot Airlines will relocate their base of operations to our airport in just a few days, on June 1st. This move underscores the economic vitality surrounding YKF and highlights the availability of experienced local maintenance personnel. We envision YKF not only as a transportation hub connecting residents and visitors to important moments, but also as a dynamic center of economic activity. The partnership with Pivot Airlines exemplifies this vision in action, contributing to job creation and further economic development in our region. When we invest in economic opportunities, we're investing in families, future education, and further quality of life. Now, quality of life, often starts at home. Building more homes is critical as we grow. I'm also proud to share that Regional Council is moving ahead with an exciting partnership with Savick Homes on an innovative mixed-income housing project at Highland Road West. And I am thrilled that Nemo and George were able to join us from Savick Homes today. I know you're near the back, but wave so everyone can go, ooh. This is part of our Building Better Futures initiative and will result in 208 homes for individuals and families. 64 of which will be affordable homes. The creation of the new affordable housing means that more people in our community have a place to call home, where they can set down roots and live a good life. It offers stability, allowing families to plan for the future and see themselves in our collective future. It means everyone can become active participants in our community. I'm also excited to share that this development has a feature of public art spaces, which is great, but it also has critically needed high-quality, affordable childcare spaces for 80 to 90 children. This is a game changer. For individuals and families utilizing these new units, it could mean no longer having to confront a difficult choice of paying your rent or buying groceries. Parents can rest easier knowing their children have a safe place to come home to. Seniors can afford to age in place within the community where they've always known. Young professionals can live close to their workplace, reducing commute times and increasing quality of life. We're going to have some of that great water Matthew talked about. Affordable housing is the foundation upon which we build a healthier, more inclusive community where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. These are not just buildings. They're investments in our community's well-being and future prosperity. Just like the ION isn't just trains, it's new housing and development. And the airport isn't just runways and planes. It's connecting us with the world and spurring economic growth. My colleagues on Regional Council and I recognize the challenges ahead and emphasize the importance of collaboration at all levels for success. Our history of being successful trailblazers guides us as we shape our future, knowing that our community continues to evolve. Together with strong leadership from regional government, we continue to address critical areas such as the health of the Grand River, affordable housing, paramedic services, waste management, and public transit. Our progress is a testament to collaboration, and we must continue to build together to ensure that we are 1 million ready. The strong spirit of our community will guide us through growth and change. I think I can safely speak on behalf of all of the elected officials here when I say we know the choices ahead will be tough. We know that they are necessary, and we're committed to finding solutions that benefit all of us. I'm proud to serve this region and look forward to making it even stronger over the coming decades, fulfilling our promise of a prosperous, thriving Waterloo Regional for all. Thank you very much. So I'd now like to introduce the Principal of Civic Good and former Mayor of Edmonton, Don Iveson. Don is a big picture thinker when it comes to how cities across North America grow, and is here to speak some more about the metropolitan mindset. His guiding principle is to make things better for the next generation, a goal I know we all share. And Don has amazing street cred, so over to you, Don.
Well, thank you, Chair Redman. It's great to be among friends here in Waterloo Region. It's especially great to see my longtime friend, Mayor Barry Verbanovich. We met on a bus tour that the Federation of Canadian Municipalities organized. I think it was 2008, and then I had the chance to serve with him on the Big City Mayors Group, which I had the privilege of leading for a number of years. And so I feel like I got to know your region through Barry as a fierce advocate for this part of Ontario and this part of the country, and the role of cities and our largest city regions in driving success in this country. So I'm not here to sell you a book. Often keynote speakers are really there to pump their book. I don't have a book, I just have a paper, and it's free if you want to know more about what I'm going to talk to you about briefly today, namely this idea of the metropolitan mindset. With thanks to Professor Gabe Eidelman at the School of Cities at the University of Toronto, and with special thanks also to the mayors and reeves and councillors and business community leaders, the same kinds of people who are in the room today here, who I had the chance to work with for 14 years while I served at Edmonton City Hall, first as a councillor and then as mayor, and also as one of the members of our regional board, which I'm going to tell you a little bit about. I also want to say thank you to Chair Redman for reaching out for the invitation to come and speak with you this morning, and to the folks of the townships of North Dumfries, Wellesley, Wilmot, Woolwich, and the cities of Cambridge, Waterloo, and Kitchener. It really is a treat to be with you, and I'm very, very grateful to the School of Cities for providing me an opportunity to reflect on what was a critically important theme for me as a leader in my community and in my region. And that's this idea that we wrote this paper about, which catalyzed for me as something I call the metropolitan mindset. Now, just to familiarize you a little bit, and you're going to see that I really love maps, this is home for me, or this is one way of representing where I'm from. It's Edmonton Metro, a region now of over 1.5 million people that's planning for another million by 2050. So wild and rapid growth. In the time that I was on city council, the city itself grew by over 50% and crossed that million threshold in Edmonton proper while I was mayor, which was a remarkable milestone. So I have a sense of what it is like to try to think in the terms that have just been laid out. What does it mean to plan for that kind of fast growth, to be inclusive and effective and competitive and resilient? Just like what you're living through here, and thank goodness that you are planning for. Now, I came to be a big proponent of regional planning, even when I was first running for city council back in 2007, and interested in opportunities to work together on service delivery. And part of the reason why is that these tough questions appealed to me, questions of fairness, of roles and role clarity, questions of complex history and sometimes turf battles and sometimes difficult history driven often by strong personalities. So a challenging task sometimes to rise to, but one worth tackling because in it we find one of the rarest opportunities in leadership, which is to unlock non-zero-sum opportunities to collaborate and create something greater than the sum of its parts. And even though I'm retired from local government, I still think passionately that one of the best places to establish and to grow trust in our democracy and in our public services and in our public institutions has been and will always be at the local and regional level. So the work that you're doing is actually not just critical to here, but critical to democracy and critical to public trust. And I think high-functioning regions have the opportunity to inspire hope, which is another scarce commodity these days in government and public life. And so I remain really passionate about this, even though I don't do it for a living anymore, and relish the opportunity to come and talk with you a little bit about that. So this is one of the key maps from the Edmonton Metropolitan Region growth plan. And I only want to say a few things about this map. But first, it is an integrated infrastructure and land use and transportation plan premised on compact infrastructure efficient growth, orderly servicing, density minimums, key employment lands are identified, and major transportation corridors are laid out. Now that's very technical if you're a planner, and maybe no big deal if you've been doing regional planning for 51 years or more, as you have around here. But because you've had the concept of regional planning in Ontario for generations. But the reason I want to show this to you is because that's actually fragile and you can't take it for granted. We did away entirely with regional planning in Alberta in the 1990s. There was a sense that it was too red tapey, it was more government regulations, and that we should just let the market decide where housing was going to go. And you can all imagine what that looked like as we were booming in Alberta. It was disorderly, sprawling, increasingly expensive, and not very inclusive growth that really grew to a crisis that required, after 2 decades of an absence of planning, the coherence of a regional growth management board. Now, that board then produced 2 plans. This is the second plan. But the point I want to make is that even though this plan isn't perfect, it is infinitely better than the free-for-all that we had before. So do not allow yourselves to be pulled down the road to a situation where you don't have a coherent plan and don't have regional governance. Now, I don't think that that's a clear and present risk in Waterloo, but not very far down the road, that is a question. That is up in the air in Ontario. And so on the flip side, the coherence and the stability that you have built here over decades is actually a leading light, not just in Ontario, but for Canadian regional planning. So you've got a lot of this figured out. I don't have much to teach you about regional planning, but I want to situate what I'm talking about here at a different scale. So we need to rescale the place of our major city regions in this vast and occasionally dysfunctional but wonderful country of ours, because this is how we often imagine where we live. And I can add a little bit of emphasis there, and you can see the 10 largest metropolitan regions in the country. But this really doesn't do justice to places like Waterloo, places like Edmonton, places like Winnipeg, and certainly places like Toronto and Montreal and Vancouver. Because this is actually where we live as Canadians. Each one of those square boxes represents 50,000 human beings. And those 10 colored blobs on the map are where more than half of Canadians live. And so I want to make 3 points about what you see on the screen there. First, we live in a very different country than the one we tend to visualize. But crucially, as go these 10 metropolitan areas, so goes the fate of our country. And the other important point to bear in mind is that your competition isn't the township or the city next to you. And to some extent, your competition isn't even the other blobs on this map. As you know, your competition is really Detroit or Boston or Minneapolis or the Bay Area. But the minute you allow yourselves to be divided amongst each other, you lose the big picture that this is what matters, this is where we live, and these are the systems that our country depends on us making successful and efficient and resilient and competitive. That is really the goal for me of regional planning. And I think Paula said it way better than this slide does, but there are all of these interdependent systems, starting with the land and the water and the air that we share, that make up a metropolitan region. So you can measure it statistically, you can visualize it with all kinds of different kind of maps, but really the question is, where is there shared interest? Where are there overlapping systems that we depend on? And how do we optimize that kind of complexity with regional collaboration, effective governance, and good service delivery? You know, we got natural systems like watersheds, we have human systems like infrastructure networks, we have economic systems like labor markets, and of course housing markets, and housing systems and critical supports for vulnerable folks. We have key services, as we've seen in recent years, essential services like public health, that just wouldn't work either at the municipal scale alone, and I can report from Alberta, don't often work well at the province-wide scale. So you have a really good thing going here in Ontario, and particularly in Waterloo. And Chair Redman didn't ask me to review your plans, but I really did delight in reviewing Growing with Care, because I think the 4 priorities that you identified there around housing, around climate-aligned growth, around equitable services, and a resilient organization are absolutely bang on, for what it's worth, from where I'm sitting, from the experience that I have. So you're to be congratulated on that plan and the aspiration to get right, preparing for 1 million people. So when I talk about the metropolitan mindset, this is what I mean. As opposed to a municipal mindset, which can be very competitive and sometimes very zero-sum, this idea of the metropolitan mindset is all pulling in the same direction. And it's this non-zero-sum or positive-sum logic: cooperation, effective problem solving between and among neighboring municipalities at the level of these systems that need to be optimized, these human and economic and hard infrastructure systems and natural systems that can be optimized. They can't be perfected. I'm a recovering perfectionist. I've tried to perfect these things, but they can be optimized, and regions are the only mechanism that can do that. And again, you guys are doing phenomenal work in this realm. So I see, even though you might not use this language, the metropolitan mindset very alive and very well here in Waterloo Region. And remember, I described earlier that it's really important to remember the crucial thing, that who is really your competition? Is it the city or township next to you, or is it the wider world? And again, bearing that in mind is one of the first precepts of the metropolitan mindset. But I think you are actually one of the best positioned communities in Canada to lead and exemplify this kind of thinking. You're already there with the light rail project, with leveraging your airport strategically, and obviously with your leadership around higher education, technology, and advanced manufacturing. But to make it more tangible, I remember Barry taking me up to the top floor of Kitchener City Hall about 5 years ago, just before the pandemic, when I was here, and light rail had opened. And I was amazed to see, as he pointed out, said, you can see the path of the light rail by the towers and the cranes. So you've actually already achieved that sometimes elusive integrated land use and transportation planning, and catalyzed the investment and created the housing that your community needs using light rail as a catalyst. And being 1 million ready means staying focused on that big picture, setting goals that are larger and longer than any one term or mandate, or even sometimes lifespan in politics. It really is a relay race of rowing together in the same direction, to mix all the sports metaphors. Now, I'll leave you with one last set of sports metaphors, with apologies to Maple Leafs fans. For those of you who can't see, this is actually a really cool map of Twitter data from a few years ago that the Edmonton Journal put together to evaluate who was cheering for whom in different parts of the country. And what I love about this map is that it's another reminder that the country we live in looks quite different than the maps that we're often used to. And of course, provinces matter constitutionally, yawn, and they do matter immensely. They're pivotally important for municipal and regional policy because of Section 92 in the Constitution. You can look it up. But to Canadians, that is not where most of us live. Like an awful lot of Canadians, this is where they live in their heads most of the time. And I hope that you are, of course, all cheering for the Edmonton Oilers right now in our slog to end the 30-year drought for Canadian NHL franchises. But I put this up not to make a point about hockey, but to say that the bonds to place are incredibly strong. And place can mean a lot of different things at different times. Like our capacity to downscale and upscale that is actually pretty extraordinary as human beings. So we're not rooted to only our block, or only our neighborhood, or only our township, or only our region, or only our province. And on a good day, hopefully, as human beings, we can think globally. But on a more tribal day, this is really what it does look like. So often what it means for Canadians is the big city nearby. And Grand Chief Wilton Littlechild, who is one of the commissioners of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, lives about an hour south of Edmonton at an indigenous community called Masquachis. And he told me once that their community members say, oh, we're going up to Waskahigan. And Waskahigan is the Cree word for lodge. And what they mean by the big lodge is what you and I might say is, oh, we're going to the big city. And in every different part of the country, people know what you mean when they say that. And here, that might mean different things, but often it will mean Toronto. And in that sense, you have the best of both worlds here. My next biggest city is Calgary, and I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of sibling rivalry in Alberta. That's a whole other talk, and it's much less fun. But what you have here in the Toronto-Waterloo corridor is a powerful expression at the meta level of that metropolitan mindset concept. And so at the risk of one last stretch of a sports metaphor, it really is time for you to go on the offense in this region. Other regions in this country, including others very close to you, are in significant disarray because of the dissolution drama. But you here in Waterloo, from everything I've seen and the wonderful conversations we had with a number of your leaders last night at dinner, you folks are in a position to continue to calmly show a better way for regional thinking and leadership, or the metropolitan mindset, if you like, in Ontario and beyond. And so with the leaders in this room committed to building and delivering on a shared vision that is 1 million ready, I really can't wait to see how it unfolds for you all. And please pray for the Oilers. We're down 2-1 after last night. Thank you very much.
I didn't oversell him, did I? He's pretty amazing. Thank you, Don, so much for an insightful topic and asking us again to lift our eyes up to the horizon and see ourselves in it. For our final discussion, I want to welcome 3 thought leaders to the stage. Each has close ties to Waterloo Region and has invested in our future. And while they make their way up, Leia Minaker is Future Cities Institute and Associate Professor at the University of Waterloo, focused on healthy cities. Darshpreet Singh, CEO of Green Line LRT in Calgary. Darshpreet was instrumental in delivering Stage 1 LRT here in Waterloo Region. And Jeff Neven, CEO of Indwell, a housing partner with plans to continue to do great work in Waterloo Region. So we're going to show a brief video of these 3 fine people, and they can make their way to the stage.
My name is Leia Minaker. I'm the director of the Future Cities Institute at University of Waterloo. I'm also an associate professor in the School of Planning. We're really interested in looking at leveraging data and technology to help decision makers make more evidence-informed plans and decisions for the region of Waterloo. We're also really interested in imagining not just the future that we want, but also plausible futures that we might get even if we don't want them. And so it's about creatively thinking about, what happens when we are at 1 million people? What happens, are we going to grow beyond that?
My name is Darshpreet Singh. I'm the CEO of the Green Line program. All places are growing. When I was much younger, Canada was about 28 million people. We're close to 40. The country will continue to grow, which means every region will face that challenge. Having good infrastructure in place makes it easy for cities to manage that growth.
My name is Jeff Neven. I'm the CEO of Indwell. When we think about a region of 1 million people and we think about what we want that to be, we know that we're only as good as the least of us. And when we help all of us to be as successful as we can be, we will be the best region in all of Canada.
So I want to thank all 3 of you coming. Some of you have come from farther away than others.
Darshpreet came all the way from Calgary, and I have to say his plane got canceled yesterday, as planes sometimes do. And TJ Flynn was going to be our backup, so nobody was happier to welcome Darsh with open arms than TJ. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Very excited about having a bit of a chat with you. Clearly growth is coming, whether we like it or not. So what do we need to do to be prepared? And I don't know, Darsh, do you want to go first?
I think I can take some of the examples Dawn was sharing. I think you have to establish what is your destination. What's the long-term vision? It's sometimes unfortunate that we are stuck in the 4-year election cycles and we don't think of that greater view that we want. Are we competing with the world, or are we just focusing on a project? And I think we need to look out into the horizon to say we're actually wanting to compete with the world. It starts with good planning, and I would say planning then has to lead to good recommendations. What is achievable? What's aggressive? You have to be aggressive and achievable to make sure that you can actually deliver on that future vision. I think sometimes we get stuck in this notion that we need to deliver it all in one go. You have to do it in phases. You have to do it in milestones that are easy, tangible, and I would say something that people can appreciate and see that we're actually making progress. So to me, that's the first step. Infrastructure comes afterwards. First, you have to have a good plan in play. And you just need to make sure that you have dedicated efforts behind it so that you're continuously delivering on that.
So you were up to your eyeballs in our 3P planning of the LRT, and I've heard other communities say that that can be really challenging. Any lessons learned from your experience in the region of Waterloo?
Learned quite a lot. The P3 market is very different at this point. There was a thinking at one time where organizations felt that I can transfer all the risk to the contractors. There's a lot of work in the world at this point. US alone has $1.5 trillion worth of work, and Canada has hundreds of billions of dollars of initiatives underway. So you have to really look at what is the market willing to accept and how you can actually build a partnership with them. It shouldn't be a view of take all the risks or you take all the risks. It's more about how can we equitably share those and work with the partners to deliver on that vision.
So Leia, Darsh already have said your favorite word, which is planning, and I have to tell you, the first time I heard you speak, I was with Habitat for Humanity Waterloo Region, and you, I think, were doing a commissioning ceremony for incoming planning students. It was probably about 10 years ago, but you talked about the social determinants of health, and my ears just perked up, and you talked about the ability for planners to help shape the future. So growth is coming. You're at the Future Cities Institute. What's on your plate?
That's a great question. And thanks so much for having me. I think the thing that struck me from all the conversations we've heard already has been just that thinking about cities as complex systems. And so the way, and this is kind of what I told to our incoming planners in the School of Planning at Waterloo, was no matter what you think, the work that you do will have an impact on the health of your community. It will ultimately, in the long term, impact our healthcare system. It will impact how socially connected we are to each other. And there's people in universities working on figuring out, kind of trying to tease apart the different relationships between certain elements of urban design or housing features or housing funding models, those kinds of things, and actual outcomes with humans. So as one small example, people have looked at, for example, the amount of frontage, so the amount from your kind of porch or front door to the sidewalk in terms of optimizing or maximizing social connection to your neighbors. And they find that it's about 10 feet is optimal, because closer to that, you feel like, it feels too awkward, I feel forced into this conversation. And too far from that similarly feels awkward because you're so far, you can't yell, hi neighbor, someone walking by. So we're humans, and we have these, tendencies that are fairly predictable until people do things that are completely unpredictable. But I think thinking about the decisions we're making right now and how that will impact not just human health and well-being, not just social connection, but all of the multiple outcomes that it will impact, and then, both directly and indirectly. So what's on my plate right now is we're building our Future Cities Institute at Waterloo. I'm trying to find colleagues across University of Waterloo who are not just experts in their fields, which might be AI or applied math or economics or planning, obviously architecture, but also people with the mindset of being willing to be curious, admitting they don't know everything on their own, and then to find partners as well in the municipalities who want to work with us so that we can use the tools that we have and the deep kind of experience and understanding of the problems that you all face in your day-to-day to see if we can come up with something creative to help solve some of those problems using, the tools that we have.
So I think I speak on behalf of all of my colleagues here. We would volunteer to be your ant farm right under your nose if you want to test these out. I believe in data-informed, evidence-based solutions, and to my way of thinking, that is exactly what you're sort of planning in the future. So keep us in mind because we are right underfoot.
Yes, and actually maybe I'll just quickly make this pitch. So University of Waterloo right now, for the first time ever, so engineering, our huge, of course, Faculty of Engineering, world-renowned, has a fourth-year capstone every year. This is the first year that we're having an interdisciplinary capstone project. So for fourth-year students in 5 of the 6 faculties, and the theme is going to be future cities. So right now we're requesting your ideas for intelligent, hardworking students to work on for 8 months in teams, interdisciplinary teams. So please contact me. I'd be happy to send you information. I think this might be a great test to do work together because we're really, really excited to get going.
So Jeff, I first heard about you again when I was at Habitat for Humanity, and Indwell has always impressed me because you have a plan. So again, I guess we're on that theme of planning. Just talk about the growth that's coming and how you think we need to be prepared when you look at it from supportive and affordable housing.
Sure, I think I'm going to answer that with a story.
Okay.
And it takes us just back to the fall. I think it was the end of October where the region held a housing day. And we were in Cambridge on the banks of the Grand, and many of you, I think, were there. And it was in a moment of some irony that there was a window just beside the stage, and you could see a tent set up along the river. And I asked about that tent. Does someone live in there? And Waterloo Region staff and my staff at Indwell said, yeah. There's a gentleman who's been homeless in Cambridge for 16 years, and that's his shelter. And he's scheduled to move into our new program at St. Mark's that's opening in December. He indeed, yeah. Well, hold on, you're getting ahead of me now, as Stuart McLean would say. He actually moved in December, and here we are 6 months later, and not only is he still housed, he's stable with wraparound healthcare and supports, and he's even employed for the first time in nearly 2 decades. So now you can clap for it.
Now you get
So when I think about the future, it has to have, each one of us has to have a home. That's how we remove homelessness, is when we have a home. And we need to have those supports and healthcare wrapped around each individual. And that looks different for each one of us. And then third, and I think for when we think about all of us, we want to belong to the region. We want to belong to our neighborhood. We want to belong to people, and we want to contribute back to our community. So when we bring those 3 things together, when we can bring real, quality, affordable home, and we can bring that social and healthcare supports wrapped around us, and a deep sense of belonging and contributing to our community, I think that really is the opportunity in the future.
So you've already answered my second question. So I want to come back to you just to say, can you talk a little bit about the input? Because one of the things that I've been really impressed about Indwell is deciding what parts of the building speak to the needs of the residents. And I'm thinking of smaller units. Maybe it has a bedroom door, maybe it doesn't. Can you just talk a little bit about how you've arrived at that kind of model, which I think is very in tune with people who have not had a place to live for a very long time, and now we're trying to give them the step up to be successful?
So we're constantly learning. We have over 1,200 people that live with Indwell, 50 years, actually it's our 50th anniversary this year.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you. 50 years of learning from our tenants and their experience. Here in the region of Waterloo, we have about 125 people that we support and provide housing. Some of that's in our housing, some of that's in partnership with the region of Waterloo. And we keep learning and nuancing each person. There's commonality, and then all of us are individuals. And so the space in which we create is always intended to help people to flourish and to thrive and to transform their lives. And the built structure really leans into that. In the 3 projects that are ours that we have in the Waterloo region, St. Mark's, the partnership with St. Peter's right behind Kitchener City Hall there, and in Cambridge, all of them are adaptive reuses where we've taken buildings that already existed in their place and said, how can we transform these for a new purpose? And there's a beautiful metaphor of when we take, like in Cambridge, we uncovered this beautiful stone building. If you haven't been by in Preston, drive by. It was the old Grand River Hotel, and we've uncovered this beauty. And I think it's a metaphor for human life as well, is when we have the right opportunity, we can uncover the beauty that's within each of us.
That's wonderful. Leia, I'm going to come to you and just say, it seems to me as we look forward, one of the things that you will be preoccupied with, the research that you're doing in the Institute, is really a mindset shift. Can you just talk a little bit about what you think needs to happen so that we're in great shape 30 years from now?
Yeah, this is an excellent question as well. So the mindset shift, you mentioned it, and Don mentioned it as well, just kind of like increasing pace, accelerating pace of change, increasing uncertainty more than ever before. I think, and human brains are wired to avoid uncertainty and to seek certainty. And so to kind of radically accept that none of us actually know the future, and that we still need to make decisions every day in ways that are hopefully going to bring about our desired or our preferred future, that's one thing. And I think being able to get a little bit comfortable with that uncertainty. To do that, we need a mind shift towards humility and towards curiosity. And I don't think humility is a very popular way of being in the world right now. I think with increasing political polarization, because fear leads to holding on to things, even if that might be anger and other things. So I think the kinds of the political polarization right now, climate anxiety, global, warfare, all those things create a lot of fear. And I think coming back to a place where we can become more curious and become a little bit more humble about what we know and what partners we need to work with who know the things we don't know, and respecting all of that knowledge to come together creatively is something that I think is one of the mind shifts that needs to happen. And another thing I think that's really important is to be able to embrace failure as a learning opportunity. So I teach the first year required big 300-person stats class in our Faculty of Environment, which of course, as you can guess, is everyone's absolute favorite. And I tell students right at the beginning, it's first year, I say, a lot of you have never been able to fail in high school. So you don't know that you'll actually still survive even if you fail, because you haven't experienced it. So there's so much anxiety and so much fear about statistics. And so I tell them, this is also why I'm popular, I say, if you come to my office and you say, I failed the assignment, I failed the midterm, my first response to you is going to be, congratulations. I'm so happy for you. You have an opportunity to learn something so much more than if you would have gotten 90s through the whole course. So I think, and it's hard for them to hear, but they also, I think this is how the world works. And I think to embrace the fact that we might fail and we need to try it anyway because we have to do something, and to realize that I can't possibly know everything. I can't possibly understand everything about this complex system. So what partners do I need to work with, and what skills can I bring to the table to make transformational change? I think those are two things I would say, humility and that kind of willingness to embrace failure.
So I feel somewhat exposed because I avoided statistics till my master's, and that was exactly why. Thank you for that. You know, Darshpreet, you did great work when you were at the region of Waterloo, and then Metrolink stole you away for about 6 years, and I think you've been in Calgary for about 2. You really spend your time in your planning working with mega projects that are transformational. What are the big stumbling blocks as we go forward? We're looking at phase 2 of the LRT and other large investments. What are the stones in the road that we can avoid with your judgment and your counsel?
I mean, there are typically many technically, but I would say the biggest one, and respectfully, it's political will and political support. Dawn clearly noted that we are not looking always for what is the long-term vision that we want to achieve. We are sometimes, and unfortunately, politically looking for short-term gains. And that, to me, on mega projects has been and will continue to be a stumbling block if that's the mindset that we bring to the table. I think Region has a very strong history of partners working together to lead transformative projects. ION's a good example, but there have been many other projects that the region has led and I think has inspired other municipalities to consider. So if we can bring that thinking to the table, there's really not a major challenge. But yes, things that can take a decade to be delivered, they require good governance to be in place. They require good funding streams to be in place. So I would say that's the biggest stumbling block. And a region has a good, I would say, history of showing that even that stumbling block can be easily removed, and collectively we can deliver something much bigger that needs to be done.
I can't, and it's probably folly to point out anybody in the audience because there's so many important people here, but I know my predecessor Ken Sealing is here, and I know Tom Galloway is here, and I know that they gained a lot of character over navigating the phase 1 of the LRT, and I think that political will and that vision was embraced by the councils of the day, and I hope that we can continue that, so I really appreciate that piece of advice. If you've got like one parting comment or thought that you want to leave with this audience that are full of our valued partners and leaders within the community in all sectors, what would it be? And I'm going to start with Leia.
Thanks. I guess from my own perspective, you know, we have this brand new institute. We have $10 million over the next 5 years, and we're going to be raising more money to create applied interdisciplinary research on future cities. And so my invitation would be, if you think of any issue in your work that is keeping you up at night, or is that you think could benefit from people who do have skills with, you know, math, engineering, AI, planning, you know, like please do reach out. We're really in the building phase right now, and I want to make a difference. Someone at dinner last night said, you know, I'm going to be dead soon, which is like a good way to leave the dinner. But that's true of all of us, really. And so I think, not to bring down the mood, I'm sorry, but to say, like, we all have limited time. We all have skills and contributions we can make. This is what drives me. This is what motivates me. And I know that having the right partners around the table who can trust each other, who can work hard together, who can think, you know, kind of outside the box, will be necessary for the Future Cities Institute to succeed, and I think will help the University of Waterloo as well to meet its mandate in, you know, creating research that benefits our region and eventually, hopefully, the world as well.
I appreciate that. I have to tell you, Warren and I told our investment guy that we didn't plan on dying, and I don't think he bought it. Jeff, what's your parting thought?
I'll build on that, but I'll use the word legacy. And what's the legacy of the community that we want to build? Who will we be in the future? I would strongly encourage all of us to build on the rich social infrastructure that already lives in this region. Organizations that are here today, like the Working Center, who have decades of of caring for vulnerable people in our community, and so many other groups that have that. That is a richness to build on, that kind of soft side of the social infrastructure. We need to add some hard social infrastructure to that. We need to build more units of home so that people can call home, that we can connect. And there's good news. I just, as I was coming into the parking lot, I'm listening to the radio and hearing that finally the federal government and the province of Ontario are going to be working together to bring affordable housing in Ontario. So now I think if we can build on that good quality social infrastructure that already exists here and work with the province and the federal government and the region and our local cities all pulling together and our support and donor community, that's what it takes to actually make sure that we create a community that we all want to live in and that we want our children to live in.
That's great. Collaboration, what a concept, eh? So Darsh, you have sort of that hometown appeal because you were with us when we were doing a lot of heavy lifting. You've gone to Metrolinx, now you're in Calgary. What's your word of advice for us as a community? Because you know us as well as anybody.
I think as we welcome the million that's on the horizon and the million that would be thereafter, I think we need to we want to create a bustling and thriving community, and for that, region has already over time shown that it can actually set a benchmark for others to be inspired by and others to follow. I think if we can continue on that path through good leadership, which you have a very strong history of, I think that's the legacy that you want to leave. You know, there's already enough good work that's been done in the past. As long as we can continue to take those actions, to me, that's my parting advice, that don't forget that you need to continue to do the right things, because that eventually will take you to the vision that you have in mind.
So thank you very much. Round of applause, and please stay where you are. I have a token of thanks. It didn't look that far when we were rehearsing. So Darshpreet, thank you. Leia, thank you. And Jeff, thank you.
So I just want to again thank our wonderful panelists. I want to thank Dawn and Paula and Mathieu for your part in this program. An incredible amount of work goes into an event like today, and I would like to thank the team at the Region of Waterloo who also produced the slides and the videos that you saw. They are a Class A team, and for that I thank all of them. I hope you found this morning insightful. We have a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do together to ensure Waterloo Region is 1 million ready, and we're up to the task. Thank you all for coming today.